And all right. All right, and we are live, everyone. We are live. Please refresh the page. Again, we are live. Please refresh the page. And I just have a quick request for everyone. Could you let me know when you are able to see me and hear me? Again, just quick request for everyone. Can you let me know in the chat when you can see me and hear me? And David, you want to say something just the audience knows if they can see and hear you too as well?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm also trying to join here from Prague. Hello. Just let me know if you can hear me okay.
All right, and it looks like I'm seeing in the chat that everyone is saying that they can see and hear. I'm seeing folks, Stephen, Joe, Penny, Katrina, Andre. All right, fantastic. And some people were doing this earlier, but could you also tell us in the chat, where in the world are you joining us from? So tell us, where in the world are you joining us from? And while we wait for those answers to come in, David, do you want to give us a quick preview of what we're going to be having in this presentation today?
Sure, I'd love to. This presentation is about how to build and grow your audience online, especially on Instagram, and more importantly, how to leverage that beyond just social media to get some real impact in life, to have positive impact on people all around the world using and leveraging your online presence. So that's very, very brief in a nutshell what we are going to talk about.
All right, that's awesome. And while you were doing that, we're having people joining us from all over the world. Just in the past couple of minutes, I've seen people from Cairo, Madagascar, Ecuador, Detroit, Vancouver. Someone in the chat even said they were like Carmen, San Diego. You know, where in the world are they? So we've got people here from all over the world. We're excited to learn. And I want to make sure that we're making good use of everyone's time. So it's 2 p.m. here in New York City. What time is it for you in Prague, David?
It's actually almost the end of the day. It's 8 p.m.
All right, sounds good. So let's dive in here. And before we get started, just one last note. Everyone watching this, you will get a replay. So there's going to be a Q&A at the end, so you can ask your questions and we'll answer them during the Q&A. But don't ask the question of if there will be a replay. There will be a replay. You will get a replay. You'll get it automatically via email. You don't need to do anything. So if anyone asks in the chat, is there going to be a replay? I need your help. Could you tell that person, yes, there will be a replay. So you don't need to ask. Excuse me, so you don't need to ask that. But now let's go ahead and get started, David. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen, launch your presentation, and take it away.
Awesome. Let's do this. Okay, can you see me or my screen?
Looks good.
Awesome. Thanks, Cameron, so much for the introduction. And hello to everyone. Hello, I'm based in Prague, in Czech Republic. That's in the middle of Europe. It's getting late. It's 8 p.m. I can't see the chat, but hello to everyone around the world. Today, we'll be talking about Instagram, especially for creatives, how to build your online presence, gain influence and attention that you or your work deserves. And let me see if I can go on with the presentation. My name is David. I'm a young architect who loves to sketch. That's usually how I present myself. And I'm a trained architect, so I'm no social media coach or social media manager. I just use social media for my online project, Sketch Like an Architect. And I'm also an online teacher. I create online courses and educational material on architectural sketching and visual communication. And that's pretty much the basic info. I wanted to let you know this workshop is going to be focused on Instagram. What I've said already before, it's going to be roughly 1 hour. And there'll be a Q&A at the end. I will quickly walk you through what we are going to talk about today. It's a lot. This list, this content, that's not what, it's much more. Actually, I couldn't fit it in. So we're going to talk about what really matters, about some of the pillars to your online presence, which are often overlooked by most people. We're going to talk about hashtag strategy, how to get the biggest reach and how to get discovered by the right people. We're going to talk about 6 characteristics of a quality content. And then probably my favorite part, I'm going to break down some of my best posts and analyze them and break them to pieces to see why they worked. And I have to say there is a system behind successful and best performing posts. So we're going to try to really break it down so you get the principles behind that and you can use them for your own content. And at the end, there are going to be also a Q&A afterwards. So you can leave your questions for that. There's going to be actually a lot more, but I think it's fair to say that even though I'm going to try and cover a lot of it, and this is completely for free, I have also an in-depth course which we might talk about at the very end. So without further ado, let's jump ahead. This is the little sneak peek of the best performing post with impressions over 1 million. But I don't want to spend too much time. We're going to dive into that at the very end of this workshop. So make sure to stick till the end. Also, another thing, it's fair to say, as with all the things, this workshop is not for everyone, right? It will be great for certain group of people. If you are a content creator, if you are a freelancer, if you are aspiring or actual entrepreneur, if you have online business, digital, or you have brick and mortar business, if you want to get more traffic to your website, YouTube, blog post, whatever, it's going to be great for you. But if you were expecting some magic bullets that would solve everything like this and get you thousands of followers overnight, that's not what we are going to talk about. That's not what I believe in. That's not the kind of shortcut that I believe. So just to make it clear, I think we are all on the same page. And I will dive into a little bit of perspective for you to understand where I come from, what was my journey, and how I got where I am today. This, what you can see, is actually one of my very first posts on Instagram. And you can see that it was in December 2016. So that's roughly 3 years and something, 3.5. And if you look at that post, you can notice there is no caption, no hashtags, no geolocation. The post is not even in a square format native to the platform. And it's not that nice either. Pretty much anything or nothing about it was correct. So that was my start. And I'm telling that because maybe some of you are also starting from scratch right now. So that's absolutely okay to just start where you are and things will evolve on the way. But jumping back to this date, a little bit over 3 years later and over 150,000 amazing people, engaged audience later, I have to say that my online presence on Instagram over the past several years has brought me so many opportunities, both online and offline. And I wanted to share a couple of those. You can see me here speaking about my work, about my project at a conference. Another one where I could speak about my journey at universities with students. And it's kind of nice interaction when you're mostly online and all the stuff that you do is online, and then you have the chance to really speak to real people, have the real life interaction. So I'm very happy for these opportunities to speak at conferences, at universities. I was also able to self-publish actually my very first book. And I have to say, thanks to my online presence and amazing audience, we were actually able to create a real hype about the book launch. So the book ended up trending as #1 in new releases on Amazon, even though it's not a traditionally published book. I'm super grateful for that opportunity, for what my audience is also sharing with me. And lastly, this online project that I'm doing, the Sketch Like an Architect, which has a mission to really bring back the values and benefits of hand sketching, even though we are in 21st century with all the technology. I could turn this side hustle into actually a full-time online business that I can do for a living now. And maybe above all importance, I'm really grateful that I could, thanks to my online presence, help certain group of people literally all around the world. And you can see just a few of the messages. This actually screenshots from Instagram, right? It's thank you notes, and I'm just that's what keeps me going. It's super nice to be contributing to this community as well as being part of it. So we're going to talk in this course about basically my 3 years experience boiled down into some of my best practices, strategies, and tactics that I used and developed and tested and optimized all over those 3 years, so you can get it done faster with all the benefits that come out of it. I hope that sounds good. And now we're going to go into the real stuff, the real meat. I want to start with probably the most important chapter, if you like, and that is what really matters. What really matters to your online presence, to success of your online presence. And I might start with groundbreaking news, because getting followers is not the goal. And actually, it's never been. And let me illustrate a short example what I mean. And I borrow this from amazing guy, Seth Godin. He says, the Mona Lisa has a huge social media presence. And that's true. She's everywhere, right? She's big on social media because she's an icon. But she's not an icon because she's big on social media. I let it sink in. It's something super, super important. I want to follow up on that. Getting followers is not the goal. Getting followers is a byproduct. And byproduct of what? Byproduct of you working on your bigger goals, on your vision, working towards your vision, working on your mission that is so much bigger than getting followers for the sake of having followers. So we need to understand that when you're working on something bigger, when you have a direction, when you know you want something to achieve, and you share the content around it and provide value on the way, people will naturally follow. And that's why it's so important as one of the pillars of what really matters to start with why. Start with your why. Start with your intentions, motivations behind what you do, as well as your online presence and all the online endeavors. And maybe I haven't mentioned it, but I started in those 2016. I started on Instagram because I was fresh graduate, I was unemployed, and everybody was talking about Instagram. So I gave it a try, and I wanted to use that opportunity to really share progress, works in progress, when I was working on the educational material on how to sketch like an architect. So I wanted to have a gallery of works in progress, of sketches, of tips that I could share with others easily. And I also took it as a substitute for a website, which looked much more complicated to do. So that was my why back then. I just needed a place to present myself in the best possible light. And that was okay. I started with that, but over the time, as I was working and getting deeper into the importance of hand sketching, I actually realized that there's a deeper level of my why I do things. And I stumbled on this great definition. It's a definition of a designer. I'm an architect, so it's very close related to what I do. And I love this short definition because it's short and simple. It's very truthful, in my opinion. Here's how it goes. It says that the designer is someone who solves problems and communicates the solutions. And I realized that I do what I do. I created a Sketch Like an Architect project, and I share the values behind it, and I share tips and tricks on sketching and improvement, because designers get so much benefits for both of these roles with hand sketching, with both solving problems and communicating ideas. Hand sketching is an amazing tool for that. So that has become my why behind the online project Sketch Like an Architect. I believe that is so important to share this knowledge, because architects and designers would benefit in both their roles, problem solving and communicating. So the point of all of this is that there is some bigger why that I do things for. There is, and actually start with why, you might recognize that it's a call to action from Simon Sinek, right? You know that. And it's based on an idea that people don't buy from you because of what you do, but people buy from you because of why you do it. And that's the difference. That's why it's so important to get clear on your why and to define that. So start with your why is really one of the main pillars in many areas of lives, actually, but also in your online presence. So that would be one main pillar. Another one would be your niche or niche. Some people say niche. I say niche. What is niche actually? Basically, in other words, it's an area of interest. And as you know, Instagram is a very visual platform, which is different from other platforms. Like Twitter is very much text-based. So we keep in mind some characteristics of the platform. So one of, or several of the very popular niches and biggest niches where most people are interested in, and it's a lot of saturation and there is high demand in these niches. These some kind of niches that can be expressed or represented in a visual way. And such niches might be health and fitness, and luxury lifestyle, and fashion, and travel, and business. So these are the general niches which tend to be very successful on Instagram, because you can have really nice visuals representing the values of those niches. What's important to say, that there are also some sub niches. If we take health and fitness, there's also running and calisthenics and I don't know, heavy lifting and so on. So you want to get specific enough with your niche, with defining your niche, where you belong to, what's your area of interest, what's your focal area, so you can stand out with your unique point of view among others. But at the same time, you want your niche to be fruitful enough, so there's enough people interested in it, so there's high demand. If you'd like to tap into a niche where there's a high competition, that's actually good, because that means there is a high demand. So don't get discouraged by that. On the other side, if you would like to be in a niche, I don't know, of really carved out wooden chess figures, that might be not that viable, because very few people would be interested in that, just that. So you want to define your niche somewhere in between. And I'll help you with a little diagram. Basically, what you need for defining your niche, your focal area of interest, is two ingredients. One of them is your passion, something that you're really excited about, something that you love, something that you would do for free. And the other part is your expertise. And that's the part where you can provide value to your audience. And the sweet spot is obviously in the middle, at the intersection of your passion and your expertise. And I'll give you my example. My example is architectural sketching, but note that it's not architecture, because architecture is very broad and generic, and pretty much everything, all the environment man-made, can be considered architecture. So what is your focal area within architecture, right? So architecture is too broad. You don't want that. And it's not sketching or drawing either. That's again very broad. So my niche is at the intersection of these two. It's architectural sketching, a very specific style of sketching and drawing, which is used by a very specific group of people, architects and designers. So right from this, we can really define where we want to focus and for whom. Super important. So defining your why and being clear and defining on your niche and being specific enough. And a last pillar that I will mention today from what really matters is the value you provide. Basically, the value you provide is the main reason why people will follow you. And good news is that you don't need to ask anyone to follow you. They will be happy to follow you if they see value in the content that you share. And now maybe you ask, okay, so what is value? How can I provide value? How can you define what value is? Luckily, we have defined it pretty well already over the time. And basically, the value fits usually in one of these three categories. Either it's entertainment, or it's education and providing information, or it's inspiration/motivation. And the pro tip here is that with every piece of content that you put out, you want to combine all of these three values. So you want to entertain, you want to educate, and you want to inspire your audience with a single piece of content. That's the sweet spot. And again, I can give you my example. I'm not trying to just share nice sketches, quote to quote, which are nice to look at. I'm trying to explain what makes them nice, and I'm trying to break down the process behind them so you can actually see how the sketches were made, and you can get the principles behind them and apply them to your own illustrations. So that's what my audience is getting from following me. They learn a lot, they get inspired, and they can use it for their own work. So that's something that, again, you should really put some thoughts into it, spend some time defining how can you provide value to your audience within your niche, so it finds success, so it's helpful to your audience. I hope it makes sense so far. There's already usually some text on the slides, but I don't read it. You can read it if you want for more details, but I usually just talk about the gist of it. And this is a slide that I borrowed from Creative Morning's presentation, and I just love it. And I'm not going to read it. You can read it on your own, but it's really about kindness. Kindness can solve many problems and be the answer for many of your questions. Kindness and care for your people that you're trying to serve with your content, that the people that their problems you're trying to solve with your content, all help them with their struggles. So kindness and care about the people, the audience that you're serving, that's really at its core. And I have to say, I have a policy when it comes to my online presence. And that is something I stick to ever since. And the policy is that I never, ever leave or write anything negative. Never. Not in a comment, not in stories, not in DMs, never, ever. I don't want to share more negativity on the internet. I think there is enough of it out there. But what it means, if someone asks me for a feedback on their sketches, very often happens, I provide them with, I try with constructive criticism, but I'm never just negative, so it can be one of the core stones or cornerstones for your online presence, the value that you stand for, how you behave actually as a human being, what kind of value you share, what you stand for. So kindness, yeah, sprinkle that everywhere. Okay, now let's go into some more nitty-gritty stuff, some strategies and tactics when it comes to building your online presence. And let's start with probably the most important strategy of all if we talk about Instagram, and that is hashtag strategy. What are hashtags anyway? I'm sure you all are well aware of that, but the thing is, hashtags didn't actually start with Instagram, right? They started on Twitter, but on Instagram they are most used. And they are basically tags, keywords, searchable words that categorize content, but also can help you dramatically increase the reach. And it's important to reach the right people. Another very common question, how many to use? How many hashtags can I use or should I use? And there are a lot of discussions about it. But the fact is that you have a limit, maximum of 30 hashtags per post. And even though some people recommend just 3 to 10 posts, I've always used 30 hashtags on all my posts to increase the reach of my posts. And one pro tip, which I learned quite recently, is to actually use not 30, but 28 or 29. And the reason for that is to fly just under the radar of Instagram's algorithm, not to push it to the limits, but at the same time use it to its almost full potential. So I would recommend 28, 29 hashtags. But what's maybe more important than the number of hashtags is their types and their combination. There are different types of hashtags, and you can differentiate between them also based on their reach. So how much are they used in other posts? And we have types of hashtags which are low reach, which are middle reach, and high reach. And ideally, in the best case scenario, we want to combine all 3 groups of these. And I will show you an example just in a second. Lastly, how do you find out which hashtags to use and where do you find them? There are 3 places where you can look for immediately. The first and obvious choice is Instagram's own search tool. You can also search for hashtags, and more importantly, you can get suggestions on related hashtags, which are often used with your hashtags. So that's one thing. I will show you again on the pictures just in the next slide. Another thing is to look at actually what your audience is using and engaging with, so you can meet them where they are. And lastly, when we talked about niche and you are clear on what your niche is, you can analyze that further and look at what are the competitors for you in that niche, and also what are the influencers of that niche. And you can analyze those people further to look what they are using and what works for them. One thing I haven't mentioned is there are also branded hashtags. My branded hashtag example is hashtag sketch like an architect. It's something I've created for my project or brand and that I use on a frequent basis. And let's look into how it looks in these categories of hashtags. I'll start with, hopefully you can see my mouse. I start on the right-hand side with the actual hashtag sketch like an architect. And that's my branded hashtag, and I use it for all of my posts, as well as I follow it when my audience is trying to share something with me. So they use the hashtag and I can find it through the search tool. And you can see at the time when I took the screenshot of this, it had around 1,200 posts. That's a low reach. That's a low reach hashtag. In the middle, we have hashtag ArchiSketcher. And we can see, hopefully you can see it too, that it is used in a little bit over 200,000 posts. And that's the category where we talk about the middle reach. And then there is a very generic hashtag called sketching. And you can see that it is used by over 11 million posts. So the thing is why you should really try to combine all the types of these hashtags is that if you use just the big ones, that there's super high competition and probably your post won't be ever like found, you know. And when you use only the small ones, then nobody's really using them, following them, searching for them, and they will not come up in any search on any explore. So you really need to combine a nice balanced hashtag strategy with all the types, middle reach or low reach, middle reach, and high reach of hashtags. So that's some very basics on hashtag strategy. And what it really is, you know, you can have it as organized list in a notepad, in a Google spreadsheet, something on your phone when you can easily copy and paste it to your Instagram. And you can have even different sets of hashtags. I would have one for sketches, another one list of hashtags for scale models, another one for visualizations. It's all related to architecture and what I do, but there are different types of posts, different types of content. So you want really different sets of hashtags if you share such diverse content. And this hashtag strategy is something that you can really test, optimize, experiment with, have fun on your own, and try what works the best for you. As for the number of hashtags, as well, their combination types of hashtags, it's very well measurable, so it's also very well manageable. Moving forward, I will go through 6 characteristics of quality content. And these are my characteristics. You might agree or disagree, but I found out through the years that all of these are actually really important, so your content has the maximum of quality. I start with aesthetics because we are talking about very visual platforms such as Instagram. And I'm talking especially about composition, colors, contrast of your post. And optionally, we can also talk about the whole visual style of your feed. So that's something you should definitely keep in mind. Another one, really important, it's a part of virality. Again, virality is something that can be constructed. It's not luck, it's not coincidence. Very often there are systems behind virality. So there's definitely one of the traits of virality is that your content is shareable. And what does it mean? It means 2 things. It means that it's relatable for your audience. And again, we are at the kindness, we are at the empathy. You need to put yourself in your audience's shoes to kind of be able to relate to them and create content that is relatable to them. So it's relatable. And at the same time, it's original. But it doesn't mean that you have to reinvent the wheel. It just means that you're really taking your own spin on things. You're presenting your unique point of view on things. That's what makes it original. And if you combine these 2, relatable and original, you'll get a very, very shareable content, which is relevant for many people, and they will be happy to share it. So it's something people like enough, so they share it with others. Next one is, and we've talked about it already before, quality content needs to bring value. You need to define what your value is. What's your pillar of quality? Is it more into entertainment? Is it more into education? Is it more inspirational and motivational? Where are you really positioned in there? And how you combine it with the other parts of value? You can always ask yourself before posting, how does this post, how will it benefit my audience? What will they get out of it? That's how you can measure how quality content you share. Another one, engagement. And it's just, I think I've answered this question in my stories just yesterday, how to make your caption more engaging. And I want to speak about captions and not images, because that's often overlooked. But captions are as important as the images themselves. And I recommend to think about the caption more as the start of a conversation. That's how you get the engagement. You ask a question, you tell a related story. You know, it's much better than just a plain statement or description of your post. If I post a sketch and there's a staircase, I'm not going to write, this is sketch of a staircase. That's not engaging. I'm going to tell a story about it, something about how it's calculated, or something relatable that goes with the image that I'm sharing. So it takes some time to put some thoughts into your captions to make them at least engaging or witty, if you can do that, and then it drives a lot of engagement and you get a lot of comments. We'll also get into that in the best posts analytics, where I show you the example. Behind the scenes. I don't know about you guys, but I love behind the scenes. I love to see how things are created, what is behind the curtain, how things come together, making of things and stuff like that. So that's something very attractive to me, and I think to a lot of people. So if you're probably working or creating something, so share the process, share the creative or working process, and people will just appreciate you and your approach more if they see, okay, this is how much it takes to actually produce something like this. I didn't know. So behind the scenes, super interesting. And lastly, it's native to the platform. And that's something we often don't realize, that when we are scrolling through the feed on Instagram, compared to when we are on Facebook, compared to when we are on LinkedIn, on Twitter, we are in very different mindsets. And that is because it's different context. We are used to see different type of content. We are used to see different kind of people. We have different relationship with those people, and we're also searching for something else. So you want to be native to that platform. And I'm saying that because we have the feature, when I post something on Instagram, I can automatically post it to my Facebook page. It works, it saves time, but it's not really effective on Facebook. It doesn't work on Facebook. Facebook is not made for square posts and hashtags. You know what you get the point? So ideally, if we want to get the biggest impact and really make the most out of our content that we often spend a lot of time creating, then it should be native content to its context, to its platform. I have some specifics here, but I guess you know how it works on Instagram. Okay, now let's move on and let's talk about your bio, your profile. It is more important than we probably realize. It's basically our mini version of a personal website, really, or a sales page. And how well optimized it is can really make the difference between how many visitors will turn into your followers or how many followers will click the website. So you can drive more traffic, get more leads, more email subscribers, get more sales, you know, a lot of it. So it really matters. Now, the first thing that many people don't acknowledge is that there is a difference between your username and your Instagram name. My username in this case, I hope you can read it, is David_Drazil. That's my username. But my Instagram name is Sketch Like an Architect. And why is that? The thing is that your Instagram name is also searchable. You can put keywords in it. So it's actually quite effective to include, in my case, words like sketch and architect, because it will come up in the search when someone is searching for sketching or architecture or anything related. So that's how you can come up as a result in more searches and be more discovered. So use that and use your Instagram name really wisely. And I don't know what your niche is or what you're trying to achieve, but you may go like, if you're into fitness, let's say, just an example, you may want to either use the brand name that you are building, or you can use like get fit in 2 weeks, or I don't know, get fit fast, you know, something like that. So it's really searchable, and it makes difference when you use it properly, relevantly to your niche and what you're trying to achieve. Then the main body of your profile, that's your opportunity to really tell your follower what he's going to get out of following you. When I go through mine, I'm a new one. I don't know myself. I say, okay, sketch like an architect, young architect who loves to sketch, cool, but what's in it for me, right? Like, okay, I don't care about him. And the next line is sharing tips on how to sketch like an architect. Okay, so I get some tips on architectural sketching. Okay, I'm interested. And then I say online teacher at Teachable. We are here together at Teachable. I'm proud to tag them in my profile. And I also say, okay, I'm creating some online education on the internet. And another thing is that you can use hashtags and tags in your profile body, and they are used and they work just as anywhere else on Instagram. So it's smart if you're associated with anyone or any hashtags, tag them in, use them in your profile. Last point of this is your call to action. Really make a strong call to action so people have reason to click your website. Tell them what they're gonna get if they click, you know? And this is because this is the only place where you can put your URL link on your profile. So again, use it wisely. And very lastly, at the bottom, there are highlighted stories. And I use it, you can use it in a way that you answer some of your frequently asked questions. You can use it in a way like I do, that I have a welcome sequence for newcomers, new followers, so they can click on it. I say, welcome, start here, and they can click through a couple of stories, which will basically walk them through my profile and tell them more in detail what they can expect. So again, you can really put here something significant for you or something that is very typical and people ask about it all the time. Yes. And now to the probably even more exciting stuff. Let's go through content typology of a single image post. And I hope you can see it if you're on a computer, but I will walk it through. I will talk it through. This is one of quite successful posts. It has over 11,000 likes. And I'd like to really take this as an opportunity to break down why it works and what are all the features and characteristics that make it work. So at the top, at the very top, I am using geolocation, which is related to that image because it's based on a photo reference. So I geolocated the photo. Next one, we talked about native content. So this post is native. It's in square format. It's fitting my niche and my visual style. White background, black and white, basically showing a sketch. It's very much into what I do. Next, I've also tagged some relevant curating pages, which are likely to repost my sketch. These are the pages that curate content, meaning that they share content of other people. They don't create their own content like I do, but they create and curate content of others. So it's smart to tag them so they have a chance to see it. And if they like it, they will repost it and you'll get more exposure. So tag relevant to your niche, to what you do, curating pages. And you can tag up to 20 of them. That's a lot. That's a lot. So use that opportunity for every post. Okay, back to question and engagement. Hopefully you can see it. I am asking a question. First line is a question, and it's a binary question. It's a this or that question. That means that's very simple to answer. And as you can see in the comments, it drives a lot of comments. So it drives that engagement. It's all those little things that support that it will reach a lot of people. Next, in the caption, I also credit the source, the photo reference I took it from, and I tag the designers. And as a first hashtag, I use my branded hashtag, sketch like an architect. Then I usually use like 5 lines or 5 enters to separate the rest of the hashtags. I know some people don't like it and they prefer to put the rest of the hashtags in the first comment. It's an option, works the same, no problem with that. Using up to 30 hashtags, we talked about that. And as you can see in the comment section, there's high engagement. People answering the question that I've asked in the caption. And lastly, you can see that I'm always replying. I'm engaging back to my audience. And that's super important to build those relationships, to show that you care, again, that you care about them, that you take time to reply to their comments. I can't stress enough how that is important. And now probably the most fun part of all times for me. Let's break down. This is my best performing post so far. And I want to break it down into pieces to see why it's working so well and what impact it actually had. Just a quick characteristics and statistics. It has almost 23,000 likes, and it has reached over 900,000 unique accounts with impressions over 1 million, and it generated more than 4,000 followers on its own. This post brought me more than 4,000 followers, and it generated almost 3,000 website clicks, huge traffic towards my my website, a lot of new email subscribers, a lot of sales coming from this single post. For the record, if there is any, if you're unsure what's the difference between reach and impressions and why does it work like that with the numbers, reach is a number of unique accounts that your post has reached. That you can tell it's people. Now over 900,000 people. And impressions they tell the total number of the times that your post has been seen or displayed. And that's why impressions are always higher than reach, because some of the people who are reached by it have seen it couple times, and that's what's counted in impressions. So I hope that's clear. Just to explain some of the analytics. By the way, this part on the right hand side, it's post insights, and you will have access to it if you switch to business profile. Maybe it's one of the questions you're asking, how do I get this? You can get this if you switch to business profile. So then you can have analytics on all your posts, stories, and much more. But let's break why this worked so well. It's a carousel post of 8 slides. And let's take a look at the cover. From my point of view, it's a solid visual. It's a nice visual where I'm already intrigued by, okay, there's something wrong and there's something right. And there's also text, so it grabs my attention. That's super important, attention. And the text says how to place people. And that is very relevant to my audience and my niche, but you can see that I'm using how to. And you've used how to many times. You used how to for every time you need a tutorial on Google, tutorial on YouTube, you place how to do blah, blah, blah. You use how to all the times. That's why tutorials get a lot of views, a lot of engagement. It's good to use that, how to, it really generates a lot of traffic. So how to place people. And some people might kind of realize, okay, I know how to place people, but then there's a subtitle saying what you're doing wrong. And I hope it's not offensive to someone, but it might be provocative to some people. Like, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. I know my stuff. I know how to place people. It just means it grabs their attention and they start swiping left. So this is like a sneak peek of what's inside, grabbing the attention, working really well, and already giving a little teaser of what's to come. So let's take a look at the whole carousel post. The first cover, we just covered that. And on the next 6 slides, I provide value. I explain don'ts and do's and don'ts and do's. And I say, hey, don't do this and do this instead. It's better. But more importantly, I explain why you shouldn't do this and why it's better like this. And I give tips and I give explanations. So with these 6 slides, I'm providing actually a ton of value to the viewer. And because there's a little text, they might spend a couple seconds reading that text because you got their attention. They are really, what's the word? Yeah, they want to know more, right? And that means it's a great feature of carousel posts because you start swiping and maybe reading, you spend more time on carousel posts. And that's important because it tells the algorithm that, hey, people are spending a lot of time on this post. It must be a really good and quality content. Let's promote it more. That's how the algorithm works. That's why all the carousel posts now seem to perform really well, because you tend to spend more time than with just a single image post. You just keep scrolling. So use that carousel post for this as well. So I got the attention, then I provided value. And the last punch is call to action. Super important. And what's maybe more important, I say in here, free download, link in profile. Link in profile, everybody knows what that means. That's the only link that you can find in your profile, and free download. And more importantly, I share a freebie that is very relevant, relatable to the post itself. I show you the post about how to place people, and then I offer you the people, the exact same people that you can get as Photoshop brushes or any type of other graphics. That's not that important, but maybe for my niche it is. For my audience, they want Photoshop brushes. They want some kind of graphics for their illustrations. So it makes sense. So all of this makes sense. And the best part is that when I was creating this post, I'm going to be open, I'm going to be honest, it took me a while. It took me between 2 to 3 hours to create this post with 8 slides, with all the ideation and the production process. But I designed it to be successful. I designed it to perform well. I knew it was going to be successful before I posted it. I didn't know it was going to be that successful, but I knew it should work. So what I'm trying to tell you really with all this breakdown is that there is a system behind successful posts. Single image posts, carousel posts, stories, IGTV, live streams. It can be all really optimized and used to its full potential once you understand the logic behind them. So that should be a real takeaway, that you can construct and design your posts to be successful and to be seen by more people, reach more people, get more attention towards you, more exposure, more website clicks if you include call to action like this. And all of this that you are probably wanting out of your social media presence. You want the benefits that are actually beyond your social media, right? I don't have anything out of those 23,000 likes, but I have a lot of stuff from those email subscribers. I'm creating new relationships. I'm sharing my content with more people. I'm getting more sales. You know, that's the stuff that's really important. And so that's the point about leveraging your social media presence or online presence in general. So, okay, I can see, are we okay with the time? I think I will wrap it up with my top 10 tips, my top 10 rules. And let's take it from there. So my top 10 rules, I will just try to quickly go through some of the key takeaways that I would love you to take with you. Number 1, be clear about your why. I think I've talked enough about it. Start with your why. Bring value through your content. I'm just gonna take some water, sorry. Number 2, bring value through your content. We talked about value is the main reason why people will follow you, and they will do that gladly. Care about people, kindness, care, empathy. It's more and more important in the world. Be consistent, put in the work. That sounds general and generic, but it applies here as well. Make a plan and stick to it. We talked about some of the strategies. You need a content strategy plan, you need the hashtag strategy, you need different strategy, how to not get overwhelmed by all the content creation, how to not get burnt out. And I know what I'm talking about. So planning and being smart about how you work is really important. Be social. We are talking about social media. Experiment, optimize, and have fun. Hey, if none of this sounded like a bit of fun to you, creating this post, creating content, sharing it with others, interacting with others, engaging with them, you know, building something bigger than yourself. If it doesn't sound like fun to you, that's okay, but probably this platform is not right for you. It requires a lot of it, and I've managed to take it up till here, up till now, because I was hooked by the platform. I was at some point I was addicted. It was not healthy, but I was addicted. I spent too much time on it, but I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed learning about the platform and all the hacks and strategies and tactics. So, but I was having fun. It meant something to me. So it's important to have fun on the process, during the process. Document overproduce. That's one strategy we haven't really talked about. And be patient. Quality takes time. Yes, that's as with pretty much everything in your life, right? So I think I will keep it here, but I want to ask you all a final question. If there was something new that you learned today, what was number one takeaway? I hope you can let us know in the chat. Maybe Cameron will share some of the things if they repeat. And
yeah, Dave, we've got already people with lots of questions for the Q&A and people
amazing.
saying how much they valued the content. But yeah, I think there's been a lot of great takeaways today.
Awesome, awesome. I would love to hear them in the Q&A, which will be in a bit. So let me know if it's okay if I share a little bit more about the in-depth course that I have just released. It's brand new. It's everything I knew about how to Instagram. Is that okay, Cameron?
And with me, and I think that people would be pretty interested in it. And I'm actually just I'm gonna make a button go live above the video, where if you're interested in David's course, you can get it by clicking on the button right above the video. But David, why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, thanks. Sure. I want to. I will talk a little bit with you about why I did it. You know, over the last 3 years, I've spent shameful amount of time both on Instagram and off Instagram, but researching Instagram, learning more about the platform, optimizing, getting all the strategies and tactics, experimenting with them, measuring, and all that stuff. And as I've said, it meant something to me. I was building this community around the Sketch Like an Architect project, but I've really gathered so much information that took me 3 years, and I've built amazing audience, but it took so much time. And I think there needs to be an easier way, more effective way how to get all the benefits out of that, but in a shorter time. And that's basically why I've put everything that I know about Instagram into one course. It's all my experience from those 3+ years shrink down into digestible advice, you know, strategies, my best practices, systems behind successful posts and different types of content and all of that. So in the hope that it will save you some time if you want to grow your online audience and take it beyond that, take it to real life and have a real life impact using and leveraging your online presence. So that's really why I did it. And if it's okay, I will share just a little bit about what it is in the course. I named it Grow Your Instagram to Double Your Leads, Sales, and Opportunities. And it's really about, it's not just about the financial part of the thing, even though it is in a big part about the business side of things. So you get actually more leads, more sales, more email subscribers, and all that stuff. But you're also building a community, and there needs to be trust. And it's about taking it further, beyond just social media. You know, it's not about the number of your followers. It's about the relationships and the community that you're building. So if you want to establish a personal brand, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a freelancer, great for commission projects and stuff, this is really for you. If you want to, just as me back then in 2016, starting off and just looking for the right direction and trying to make something bigger than myself, that's for you. So there are 6 modules of the course, and they include 21 on-demand videos. You get instant access to 21 videos, and the modules are introduction, what really matters, all the pillars, all the strategies and tactics. We've just scratched the surface in this webinar because it was just as much as I could fit in in 1 hour. A big chapter on content creation. That's huge, because how to not get burnt out, overwhelmed, how to make it sustainable over the long term, because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You know, I've been talking about 3 years experience, and it may take, I don't know how many more years. So I need to keep going. I need to have a system for all of that and don't go insane. So there's definitely some great value, how to approach the whole content creation thing. And probably one of the most, I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. Real life campaigns. I break down step by step some of the campaigns that I run with Instagram in the last 3 years. I talked about the book, how we launched the book. That was a pretty big deal. We got trending as #1 on Amazon thanks to that. So I break it down. I break down how to do giveaways. Giveaways are great for growing your online audience, both like your followers, but also email subscribers. And I go quite deep on the 2 approaches that I found biggest success with when it comes to running giveaways. And everybody loves giveaways. I love giveaways. I'm sure you love giveaways. People love getting stuff for free, and you can get so much out of it. So that's another of the real life campaigns. I talk also about how to promote your products or services without being salesy or pushy. How to take some of the advantages you have on Instagram with different types of content, how to leverage that to promote your products basically on a consistent basis without sounding too pushy. So definitely great stuff that I've used, and I recorded my screen on Instagram so you can see directly what I'm doing and how I'm achieving some things. So that's included in the course. And yes, here are some of the things that you learn. There are not all of it. I've tried to list some of the more interesting, but there's just a bunch of stuff in those 21 videos. Everything I knew, everything I learned. Also, how to actually behave on social media. We haven't covered that, how to be social, how to earn trust, how to gain credibility, how to get more attention and become kind of an authority in your niche, go-to resource in your niche. It's all about building those relationships. So I cover also that. And even though it's a brand new course, video course, we've had some beta students, and maybe you know them, maybe you don't. Here's what they say. It's Gasper from Lionscapes. It's Gasper and Sonia. They are making a landscape architecture and landscape drawings, and they're amazing, and they are crushing it now. And I'm so happy that I could help them on the way. And Gasper now says that it was the best investment, most important investment on the creator path. That's about the content creation, right? And he says that he understood the underlying logic of Instagram and the rules behind content creation. That's exactly what's, I'm so happy for them. By the way, they are crushing it. Lionscapes, you can look them up on Instagram. They are crushing. I think they are close to 50,000, 50K. I think they're around there. Amazing. I'm very happy for them. And Gasper says he would suggest it to everyone who has something to say and wants to make sure it's heard by the internet. It's about getting the attention. And one more, David Klink, he's also creating different kinds of digital illustrations. And he says something that maybe a lot of you might relate to. He says, I found myself struggling to grow my Instagram following. I struggled to gain traction with my audience. It was a slow growth of 20 to 30 people per week. And I can totally relate to that, because that's about the optimization. And he said after he took the course, the result was my growth changed to between 300 to 500 per week. So it's like more than 10 times. And now he's over 10K. He's, I think, about 11K already. He said it was phenomenal. I'm super helpful. I'm super grateful that it also helped him. So I'm just trying to show that yes, this stuff is something that I've been working on for last 3 years, but it doesn't work only for me. It works for other people as well. So it's all about the strategies and tactics behind them. It's all about your why, the main pillars of what really matters. And it works. It will probably work for you as well. On top of that 21 videos, there's also several bunch of actually PDF bonuses downloadable, which will help you to put some things into practice, some things to put them down in words on paper. There's a full 40+ page PDF guide covering all the info from the course. And there are several action sheets, worksheets, checklists, strategy plan, so you can really put that into practice when it comes to your content strategy, hashtag strategy, what really matters, content ideas. I give you content ideas, as well as my top 10 rules. So that's also included as a bonus. And you know, I would love for you if you give it a try. If you're serious about this and if you want to grow it and get the benefits out of that, I would love for you to try it out. And if you try out my tactics and strategies and put it into work, and after a month you see no progress, zero, you haven't really progressed anywhere forward, and just it doesn't work for you, or you're just in any other way unsatisfied with the course, I don't want your money. I don't. You know, so there is no risk. There is a 30-day money back guarantee. If it doesn't work for you, if you try it out and it doesn't work at all, I don't want your money. You get full refund. There is no risk taking this course. And now about the price. Let's be honest about it. All the videos and bonuses, I think the real value is maybe double of that. But it's not going to be 99 because you've gone through this workshop, you showed up, you took action. I appreciate that. And we've teamed up with Teachable to offer you a special price for $79. I think it's for a couple more days. It's not forever. It's just a time limited offer. And then it will be back up. So for a couple more days, it's $79, all that stuff, 21 videos, bunch of downloadables, instant access, also lifetime access. And I'll be there with you, answering the questions, giving you feedback on your specific situation, because I know we are all different. So I'll be there trying to help as much as I can. If you're interested, I hope to see you in the course. Teachable.com/Drazil. That's my last name. So I would love to.
All right, David,
I would love
that
to
was
take
amazing.
some time and answer your questions.
David, thank you so much. And we had a lot of questions in the chat. So I've been collecting some of them, so I just want to go through here. So we had a pretty, just for everyone wondering where they can get the course, just click the button right above the video, or my colleague Ka has posted this in the chat. I'll drop a link in the chat as well, so you can just grab that there. But so some questions from the chat. We have a spicy question here from Catherine. Catherine says, do you use clickbait? You know, do you use anything that's just kind of like eye-catching and just meant to get, you know, views? You know, how do you balance getting clicks versus actually having depth in your content?
That's a super interesting question. I don't use clickbait, any type of clickbait. I'm trying to be thoughtful with my content. And I think, you know, the strategies and tactics that I teach, they work in a way that they attract the best people and repel the rest. So I'm trying to be just as I am, a bit more thoughtful with my content, and it will not attract everyone. It will attract only other thoughtful people. So, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that my content is not here for everyone. And I've said it also at the beginning of this workshop, it's not for everyone. What I do, my content, as well as what you do and your content, is not here for everyone. So I'd rather be clear about it and defining it than trying to please everyone and to use clickbait. So I don't want that. And as well, on the other part of the question about how to achieve depth, that's a bit more tricky with Instagram because it's so fast and instant, and I found it quite hard to get in more depth, but carousel helps because they spend more time, as well as IGTV videos, which you can now post also to your feed. That's another way how to get more depth. And lastly, that everything that I talk in the course, actually, different types of content and how to leverage that. Instagram Live. You can go live for half an hour, for an hour, doing Q&A, going really in depth with whatever you're interested in. And we've done that. Or you can go live with someone else who is from your niche and have a talk, have a podcast, have a dialogue, have an interview, you know, and that's more in-depth content that you can share on Instagram, and it actually performs very well. So there are ways how to achieve that. And I'm never using clickbait. I never bought any fake followers. You know, nothing like that. I want to stay away from that. If you know that if you want, you can buy fake followers, but that's, as I've said, getting the followers is not the goal.
That makes sense. Now, we had some other good questions here, and one of them, let me just pull this up here. Somebody was asking, what's the difference between using, a hashtag versus using, tagging someone in your post? Like, what are the circumstances under which you might use hashtags versus, tag other creators or interact with other profiles or creators in your post? Like, does tagging ever make sense?
Definitely hashtags are used not only for the categorization of your content, but also to get more reach. So it's about reaching as many people as you can with hashtags. And if you tag someone, they will see it. It will pop up to them that they were tagged. But it makes sense if you create your own content and you want other pages to repost it. So it makes sense to tag curating pages that might be likely to repost your content. But otherwise, in terms of like growing your audience, really make it thoughtful. Again, who are you tagging? Are you tagging someone who you've been in touch with? That's another thing. Okay, we know each other. We've chatted through DMs. I want them to see this post. I will tag them. It makes sense. But in terms of like growth, the big pages, they are tagged all day, every day. So they don't even check it. Honestly, I am tagged very often, daily, and I don't have the potential to, maybe I like it and I don't have the potential to repost it or follow up on that. So from my experience, I don't see much value in just tagging other accounts if it's not based on some meaningful relationship with them, or if they are really not likely to repost my content. Maybe they've reposted it before, and then it makes sense. Okay, they like my content, I will be tagging them. That makes sense. But again, just be thoughtful about the tags, and rather for the biggest reach and exploration and getting discovered, use the right combination of hashtags. So relevant hashtags and the right combination, as we talked about it.
All right. So we actually have a few people saying that they've signed up, like Kalina. That's awesome. So I think we'll do two more questions. So the first one here is from Shreyansh, and they say how should I ask people to collaborate on Instagrams? Like, how can I do that as a beginner?
Amazing question. From my experience, I found that many people reach out to me, and the way they reach out is horrible. I don't want to, so I usually do respond to them because I'm just polite, but the way they reach out is terrible. So the best way you can reach out is craft really thoughtful message, which will call them by their name. In that way, they will see that, okay, it's exactly for them. It's not like for other 1,000 people that you just spam them. It's directly for them. You can compliment them for something that they do. If you believe in that, if you like what they do, compliment them in one sentence. Tell them your situation and what you want, and tell it all in a short message. Don't take 5 paragraphs. and don't say just, that's the message that I get so often from strangers. They say hi, so no name, so I don't know if it's meant for me or not, and they say, can I have a question? And I'm like, you're wasting both your and my time. Just ask the question. If you want to ask a question, just ask it. So make it everything in one short paragraph. Say hi, call them by the name, compliment them, let them know shortly about your situation, your motivation, and let them know what you want. And if you want to ask them something, come up and thought about what's in it for them. What are their motivation to actually get back to you and collaborate? What's in it for them? You know? So you have to give first and then ask. Give, and then ask. That's how it will work.
All right. And I think we have the last question here. So most offices, a lot of the rules and the tips apply to businesses and content creators. But how could this apply to service providers? So if most office is a photographer, so entertaining and educating. Now, how does this come across if someone's a service provider?
A photographer, amazing. I think for a photographer, it would be, I'm not sure what type of photographer, if you are focused on portraiture or weddings, or if you have a focus, but I would really go through showing behind the scenes, showing how much it takes for you to actually create the good quality service that you are providing for your audience, and what is the experience that they are getting working with you. I know I've worked with photographers several times in my own life, and I know it's very much about their personality and how you feel with them. So if you're nervous, the photos will not be that good as if you're relaxed, right? So I would take it from this approach. Show how is the experience with you taking photographs, and show behind the scenes, show all the setups, how complicated it is, so people may appreciate what's really behind some of those cool photos. So I don't want only to see nice photos, I want to see how it was made. That's again behind the scenes, making of really the stuff that is normally hidden and invisible. I want to see that. So show me that. Show me what's behind. And I think that would really attract a lot of people. They would see, okay, he's putting so much effort into this complicated shots. He must be really good. I appreciate that. Let's do something with him. That's how I would approach it, just in a nutshell.
All right. Now, everyone, thank you so much, David, for all the value that you've offered. Oops. Sorry, I accidentally stopped your video instead of stopping the screen share. So you can start, there you go. So everyone, I just wanted to thank David for all the value so far. And if you could type in the chat just to say thank you. I know that David would really appreciate that, but this has been a lot of fun. I know we've learned a lot. So let's again, so say thank you to David for joining us. It's been really interesting. We've the link to purchase the course. If you're watching this on a replay, it should be in the email. If you're watching this live, you should see it right above the video. But looking forward to seeing you on the other side. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, guys. Take
Bye-bye.
care.